Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Teaching Training Session 2020, organized by Sección de Idiomas de la Facultad de Humanidades de la Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala, la Embajada de los Estados Unidos en Guatemala and la Asociación de Jóvenes Ex Becarios del Departamento de Estado AGEDE. My name is Crescencia Sosa. I'll be hosting this conference. We are so happy to have you with us. Before to start, these are some general instructions to follow. Number 1, we will have 10 minutes for questions and answers at the end of the conference, in which I will be reading questions and comments you post directly in the live chat. Number 2, don't forget to subscribe both our channels, Idiomas USAC and TTS conferences, so you can stay tuned on all the conferences we will have during the week. Number 3, we will give the instructions about the attendance at the end of the conference. So thank you so much for being with us in this conference. Icebreakers, in charge of Heylin Duarte, whom we warmly welcome in name of the Organizing Commission of TTS 2020. Icebreakers. In this workshop, teachers will meet creative and innovative icebreakers to energize visual and face-to-face meetings, taking into account that the classroom is a dynamic environment. It is also intended to discuss the importance of implementing icebreakers in classes. Heylin Diana Liz Duarte Solís was born in Concepción, Las Minas, Chiquimula. She is 22 years old. She is a technical auditor and student of the last semester of the bachelor's degree in public accounting and auditing of the Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala in Chiquimula. Heylin Duarte is an alumna of the Access Micro Scholarship Program at the U.S. Embassy in Guatemala. In December 2017, she became an international English teacher. After being certified in the World Learning TAC and SIT BP in TESOL courses. In 2019, she was certified in the initial training of trainers courses of the World's Learning. She has participated as presenter in the TTS Chiquimula and TTS Cobán. She currently works as head teacher in the Access Esquipulas program, as a consult in the Threshold program of the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, PRONACOM, and as assistant trainer in TTS Chiquimula program. Heylin Duarte, the time is yours.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you for all the ones that joined the session. I'm going to start sharing the screen for you to see what the workshop will be about. Thank you to our host that was there to present this workshop. So I want to start telling you that what we're going to see right now is icebreakers. And this workshop is called Icebreakers to Warm Up Any Meeting. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on activities for virtual sessions, on icebreakers to warm up virtual sessions. And of course, we're going to meet some of the face-to-face icebreakers that you can also use in your classes. But first of all, I would like to know a little bit about you. And please, I will ask you to go to this website, www.menti.com, and we're going to have some questions in there. So please, you can use your cell phone to log into the presentation, and you can use this code to log to the presentation too. You can also see the website in here and the code in here. Okay. So as it says in here, I would like to know your names and where are you from. So what you have to do is to enter your name. I'm gonna enter mine right now, and also where are you from. Welcome, David Zuli from Chiquimula, great. And we have David from Rutaluleu. Thank you for joining. Hello, Christy. We also have Ana Lucia, David, Andrea, Ana Lucia, David Somoza, Catherine, Christy, Johanna. Thank you for joining our session. We have also Antonio, Paula, Anna. Great. Thank you guys for joining the session. Great. I see that 40 teachers already participate. Thank you again. So I see that most of you are from Guatemala, Guatemala City, right? Okay. I'm gonna give 1 more minute just for you to finish. We have 50 teachers right now. Thank you for joining. Great, thank you. So I'm gonna move to the next slide. And this is what we have, teaching online. I would like you to write on the options that you have in there, what comes to your mind when you read this phrase, teaching online. What is teaching online? What tools have you used to teach online? You can talk about tools, activities, icebreakers, or different things that you have used during teaching online classes. A teacher. You also have some names here. Work together, great. Google Meeting, websites, great. Technology, computer, practice, work at home, yeah, especially nowadays, right? Tools, Edmodo, Zoom, Kahoot, great. You can also participate on the chat, on the live chat on YouTube. I will be reading some comments that you are typing there too. Great. Tools gamification, computer or technology devices. Great. Challenges. Great. That's another thing that we have during our online sessions. Fun, of course. Cell phone, teamwork, worksheets, Classroom. Google Classroom is one of the platforms that we are using nowadays, right? Great. So I'm going to stop the presentation there, and I'm going to move to the PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to continue with this session. And now, because I want to have a really interactive session, I would like you to go to this website, www.disposablechat.com. In here, we're going to create a room in which we're going to be sending questions, we're going to be sending comments, you're going to be participating, okay? So if I ask you a question during this session, you're going to be writing your answers on that chat, okay? So you can go to this website, and what you have to do is to write your name. I'm gonna send you the link. I'm gonna ask the host to send you the link directly to the chat, okay? So you just click on it and you enter to the room. Just give me a second. The name of the chat is TTS 2020 Icebreakers. Okay. So this is the direct link for you to go. I'm gonna ask the host to send the link to the YouTube chat. And this is what is going to appear. There is going to appear a room. You just have to write your name. And when you participate, you just have to submit the comments for you to comment, okay? I will be checking if there are some of you that are ready. Yeah, I can see that Paula Valenzuela is here. Also Hannah, Edson, Rafael, Catherine, Alessio, William. And I'm also here. I'm gonna write hello to all of you. Thank you for joining. So, okay, I think you're gonna be entering to the chat. Let's move on. So we're gonna start with the goals of the session, okay? So during this session, You're going to comprehend what icebreakers are. You're going to know when to use icebreakers. You're going to recognize the benefits of using icebreakers in virtual meetings. I am going to share the factors that you may consider when choosing an icebreaker for your virtual meetings. And I'm going to provide some examples of icebreakers that you can use during the virtual meetings and also face-to-face meetings. Okay, so let's move on. First of all, we have icebreakers. And the definition that we have here, we know that there are many definitions, and this is the one that I found. Icebreakers are activities, events, or games that are designed to break down social barriers, make others feel more comfortable, and facilitate social interaction. So icebreakers are usually performed at the beginning of a meeting or a team session that we may have, and that involves people. And as we know, nowadays virtual meetings have likely become like a regular part of our work from home. As many of you have learned by this point, through these meetings can often become dull and energetic, and focusing can often become difficult. Some students are not engaged, they are bored about being in front of a computer or a cell phone, and icebreakers can help you facilitate the learning process when you implement them during virtual sessions. And the title that we have here is Icebreakers to Warm Up. I would like you to type in the chat, what do you think about icebreakers to warm up? What comes to your mind when you read this? So I'm gonna wait here because I think you're in both things. So I'm gonna kind of read the comments that you're writing. And what I want to know, as I told you, what comes to your mind when you read icebreakers to warm up? You can also participate on the chat. So I have here activities to know more the students, to stop being shy. Icebreakers to warm up, yeah, that comes to your mind, great. To make people feel comfortable, great. Thank you for participating. I'm gonna move on. So what we have here is two different things, icebreakers and warmers or warm-ups, as we call, right? And this is what they are defined to. Sometimes we tend to confuse what are icebreakers and what are warmers. And icebreakers are defined for groups who are new to each other. And warmers are designed for classes that know each other. But an icebreaker can help to clear the way for learning to occur by making the learners more comfortable, as you were writing on the chat, and encourage them for conversations. An icebreaker, as you were also writing, is an activity designed to help students or to help people to get to know each other, but it involves more than that. It is not necessary to have icebreakers just when you are meeting someone. You can know what is a person name, but you can know you don't know the person as well, right? You don't know their likes and dislikes. So icebreakers can be used to gather all this information. Right now, I'm going to show you a video in which you're going to see an icebreaker and a warm-up combined. So I'm just going to check if the audio is working.
오케이, 가팡.
You three stay, and everybody goes down. So you go down when you come to the beginning. Okay.
So as you could see in the video, there was a lineup activity that was used as an icebreaker and also as a warm-up. That was designed to know like people's names, where people were from, and if you use this in your classroom, you can use different type of questions to get more answers, but it can be also used as a warm-up. So right now we're gonna see the benefits of using icebreakers in the classroom. So as you can see here, we have icebreakers help to establish a friendly, informal climate for formal learning to follow. Icebreakers also introduce new students to their classmates in a fun and engaging way. Let's suppose that in your class you have a new student and you would like to introduce him or her to the rest of their classmates. An icebreaker can be a fine activity or a fine way to introduce this new student. Icebreakers also facilitate the learning process. Some other benefits that we can find with icebreakers is that they encourage people, or in this case students, to learn more about one another. When you give them questions like what's your name, where are you from, how old are you, they tend to add more questions like what is your favorite movie, what is your favorite song, what kind of music do you like, and they tend to add more questions. So they are engaged with that person and they are encouraged to know more about one another. They also reduce feelings of isolation and loneliness, especially nowadays with this pandemic that we're going through. Some of the students may feel kind of depressed or sad because they cannot see their friends. They cannot do the same activities that they used to do. So an icebreaker during a virtual meeting can help them to break that ice, right? They also help the students feel more relaxed and positive. These are some of the comments that you were writing on the chat that an icebreaker make students feel comfortable, relaxed, and positive. Some other benefits is that icebreakers improve communication, build classroom rapport that is really important in our classes, and they also bring an element of fun and interactivity to team meetings or brainstorming sessions, and also virtual classes that we're teaching, right? Let's move on to when we can use icebreakers. I would like you to write on the chat, when do you think we can use icebreakers? You can use the chat, or you can also use the live chat on YouTube. I'm gonna try to read both, okay? I'm gonna wait for some of the ideas that you have. So I see that some of you are asking, what is rapport? Rapport in a classroom means that the connection that you make with the students. that sense of comfortable that you can make your students, that connection, that communication that you can have with your students. In other words, I will say the rapport can be that connection, okay? And it is also involved creating a sense of belonging of the students in the classroom. Okay, you're writing that we can use icebreakers when we will introduce a new group, when we want students to know each other at the beginning of the class. Great, thank you. We can also use it to increase the students' energy when students are in the first class, right? At the beginning of the class. Thank you. After a recess, great. After a break, right? Thank you. Yeah, when you're starting a new year too, a new year of classes. Thank you. Thank you for coming. So, as most of you were saying, there's a right. Okay, we can use icebreakers at the start of a meeting, at the beginning of a meeting or of a class. We can also use it at the start of an activity, a specific activity, after a break. And there are many scenarios where we can use icebreakers. I noticed that you used to do different icebreakers, right? And I was noticed that you wrote different ideas. Yeah. So this technique, using icebreaker, is a technique that is often used when people do not usually work together. Maybe when you have students that they are, as you know, right? When you are planning an activity, a group activity or whatever, students prefer to be with the same people always. So icebreakers can help you to have different students in different groups that you are. This is a way that you can motivate the students to know the rest of their classmates and participate with them in different grouping activities that you are teaching. And yes, we can also use, I'm reading your comments, and some of you are writing that you can use icebreakers with new topics. This is totally true. And we can also consider using icebreakers when the participants, or in this case, if you're teachers, your students, come from different backgrounds. When people or students need to bond quickly so as to work towards a common goal. As I was telling you, when we're having a grouping activity, you can use an icebreaker to break that ice from the first contact with the students and make them participate. We can also use icebreakers when a team is newly formed. And some other scenarios that we can find to use icebreaker is when the topics you are discussing are new, as most of you were writing on the chat, or unfamiliar to many people and students involved. So maybe students don't know a topic and your icebreaker will help them engage during the session and will provide them that comfortable to participate in class, to be engaged, to ask a few questions, because some students are really shy and they don't participate because of it, right? We can also use icebreakers as a facilitator or as teachers. We need to get to know participants. We need to get to know students and have them know us better, right? It is important for students to know things about us because that makes them create that sense of belonging. Now we're gonna move to designing our virtual icebreakers. This is a common topic right now because with this pandemic, all of us are talking about virtual classes, technology, different resources that we can find online, and different things, right? So, some factors that you may consider when choosing an icebreaker are establish a purpose. You have to ask yourself, what ice do I want to break? You need to define this purpose, and you need to ask yourself if you are introducing students to another student, if you are using this icebreaker to introduce a new topic, or you can have like different purpose, right? Another thing that you have to take into account is the goals and objectives of your session, of your lesson plan. And you have to ask yourself, do I want my students to learn one another? Or what is the real purpose of this? Or do you want your students to feel comfortable participating because you're going to make different groups during the during the class, right? There are so many goals that you can have or many objectives according to the session that you are having, but you also have to consider when designing an icebreaker. Let's move to the next one. You may also consider to help people feel comfortable. And you have to ask yourself, does everyone feel able to participate? This is an important question because sometimes there are some things that hinder our students' learning. And the students, they tend to to participate. They tend to make jokes in the class, and some of this information allows in translation can tend to be as a joke or humor that don't always travel well. So you have to be careful when you design the icebreakers because you have to help the students feel comfortable in this session. Uh, I'm just reading a question that you are writing there. How many icebreakers can I use during a normal day of class? It is according the time of your lesson. If you see that your students are not engaged, so you can implement an icebreaker at the beginning, maybe, then after a break, and it can be during another activity that it will be that you think that it will be kind of boring to your students. You can also implement warm-up activities, right? I'm gonna try to read your comments. Yeah, as you were saying, every time we can use icebreakers every time we feel we're losing the attention of the students. Okay? Yeah, you are so right with that answer. Thank you. So you may also consider to take time into account. And you may ask yourself, do I want my icebreaker to be a short activity? How long would you take to do an icebreaker? This is something that you may consider. There are icebreakers that take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, but a long icebreaker will be maybe bored to your students. Okay. Another question that I am reading right now is icebreakers at the beginning of a topic. Yes, you can implement icebreakers at the beginning of a topic. When the audience doesn't know about the topic, yes, you can also implement it. You may consider this too. After this pandemic situation, the first days of classes, of course, we have to have that to break that ice, right? Of students staying at home in this situation. Let's move on. We also have as factors that you have to choose your frequency. Do you want the icebreaker to make the icebreaker a regular thing? Would you like to use the same icebreaker in every lesson? No, right? That will make your students feel bored about doing the same activity. So there are a variety of icebreakers that you can use to get the attention of the students, to don't make them feel bored with the same activities in class. And we're going to see some examples later on. You also may consider to keep a student's location in mind. Think about where students will likely be at that time. Are they going to be at home? Maybe in this situation, yes, they must be at home. But what about if they live in a village, they live in a town where signal is not okay, where technology is not working, when internet is kind of slow? So you may consider this when you are choosing your icebreaker. Uh, Julissa type on the chat. I would like you could give us some example of icebreakers to use online. Of course, later on I'm gonna give you some examples for you to work. When to use an icebreaker with online classes? You can use the icebreaker at the beginning or maybe in the middle of the session. That would be according to how you feel your students. If they are engaged, if they are participating. If you're losing that, you must use an icebreaker to warm them up. Okay, but we're going to see some examples later on. Great. Sorry for watching to the other side, but I'm reading also your comments. And then we also have these factors. You may consider technology. You have to make sure that everyone is using the same platform, okay? And you also have to make sure that your students are familiar with the platform that you're using. If not, I will recommend you to give them like a tour or a kind of guide in the platform that you will implement for your virtual classes. You may also consider to prepare yourself in advance. You have to decide how much information you will need to provide to your students. Okay. When to use an icebreaker with online classes? Some of you are writing in the chat. I'm going to try to see what are you writing. Yes, I'm gonna show you some examples later on. And I'm gonna also tell you some of the things that I used to do during my classes, okay? So let's move on the examples that you want to see. These are some virtual meetings, icebreakers that you can implement in the classes. But before I explain you these icebreakers, I would like to tell you that not all meetings, as you know, are in person. Some are virtual. That's why I am introducing this virtual meetings icebreaker topic. And the ones that I'm going to show you are fun icebreakers. And these ones can be performed at any time, anywhere in a virtual meeting, as the platform allows you, the platform that you're using allows you, and the distance doesn't matter, okay? So the first one that we have is to show and tell. This is one of my favorite icebreakers because you can tell your students to grab a near thing that they have in the room that they are watching the session, and to show it to the camera and share what is that thing is important, what they used to do with that thing or whatever. As like for example, Romina, if I say show and tell, I will show my cell phone that I have here, or I will also show the cup of coffee that I also have here, and I will say, I have my cup of coffee here because I cannot live without coffee, right? This is kind of an example that you can use just to break that ice at the beginning of a session, okay? I'm gonna show you right now a video in which you can see that this icebreaker, the show and tell icebreaker, can be used in another class. I know that most of you are not just English teachers. You may teach another subjects, and this can be implemented in a musical class, I would say. So I'm gonna click right now, and you will see how this can be performed.
You guys want to do this show and tell? No, of course
Yeah,
you
I'm
don't.
first.
But we're gonna do it.
No.
So I'll ask for volunteers first, and then after that, I'll probably just ask you guys by sections, and it's perfectly fine if you would rather play without your video. You can turn off your video play, no big deal at all.
Can I mute and play?
Oh, that's a clever idea. No, you can't do that. Good try though. And it does not have to be big or fancy. I'm going to play first for my show and tell. I am going to play, I was going to play something on my trumpet for you, but my buddy Dave came by and brought a tuba for me because we need to use it to record something for our own virtual band that we're in. So I'm going to play my favorite song for the tuba, which I'm terrible at, but I've been working on a little bit today, is Jabba the Hutt's theme, written by John Williams for Return of the Jedi. It's the best tuba solo out there. As you could hear, it was terrible, but it's very fun to work on that, and maybe one day I'll learn how to do it correctly. Okay, any other volunteer? Oh, thank you, Alex. I see your clap there. Any other?
So you could see an example in here on how to perform that activity, show and tell, right? You can be show and do. You can show something and do something, right? Just to give you some ideas. We're gonna move to the next examples. You can also have a session in which you can connect the cameras and meet the pets. This is a fun activity that you can do with your students to break the ice. And they can know each other very well because maybe they know the name, but they don't know if a student have a pet or something, right? So what you can do is to grab your pet and show it to the camera and tell some things about the pet, about maybe the name, the age of the pet, what the pet is important for you or whatever, right? You can implement as many ideas as you want. And for the students that doesn't have a pet, there is a solution. You can ask them what will be their ideal pet, just for them to participate also in the session, right? It's important to manage this. Another icebreaker that we have is phone photo. You can ask the students to show a photo that makes them feel happy, that makes them feel like aware, that makes them feel uncomfortable or something, a crazy picture that they have, and they can describe. So this will have the students know each other very well. Maybe they can have fun according to the picture that they show, right? We can also use as an icebreaker, raise your hand. You can ask students to connect their cameras and raise their hand when they want, when something is true, for example. You can tell them, you can make a list of things to ask your students, and you can tell them, raise your hand if you take a shower today. So students will be doing this. Or you can also, if for example, a student doesn't have a camera, in the Zoom platform, there is a button in which you can find the option to raise the hand. So you can have students participate. So let's move to the next one. We also have this fun icebreaker that is called heads and shoulders. And to make this activity, you can also write questions, yes/no questions, and ask students, for example, if I tell you I like coffee, you can ask them, I like coffee. It's a present simple sentence. If they say yes, they have to put their hands on the heads. So this means yes, and this means no. Okay. I have used it in two different ways. So I can tell them, I used to tell my students, did you take a shower today? So they say yes, right? Have you eaten breakfast already? So maybe they say no. But you can also use it as a in your lessons, an icebreaker to be part of your lesson, to ask a student different questions and make kind of a competition. Competitions are good when you plan it in a good way, right? So you can ask the students, as I was giving you the example at the beginning, you can tell them, I like coffee. It's a present simple sentence. So they say yes. If a student say no, for example, the penitence will be that the student should disconnect the camera and you have all the students participating. So you get the students out and out and out when they made a mistake, and you will have a winner at the end. Okay? But this is according to the time and the questions that you would like to implement, because maybe you will have 2, 3 winners or more according to how many students you have in your classes, right? And you have also, you have to be concentrate on who are the students who touch their heads or shoulders, right? To recognize if they say yes or no. And that also makes them feel active during the session. Even if they are sitting down, they are moving their body, so that will make them feel engaged during the session. Another icebreaker that we can have is everything from A to Z. You can ask your students to show you some things that they have according to the letters. So you say, for example, letter A, let's grab something that starts with letter A. So maybe they can grab an apple and show it to the camera. You can have them run in their house and showing you the different things that they grab. You can say B, so they can go run and take a book, for example, and show it to the camera. If they say C, for example, they can show you the cell phone or a cup of coffee or whatever that they have that starts with C, right? If you have a lot of students, what you can do is, for example, in Zoom, in the platform Zoom, there is an option where you can have different groups. Breakout rooms is the name of the thing that you can do in Zoom to have different groups in your session. And you can also tell the students if they cannot like show something, or if you don't have enough time for them to go and take something, you can also ask them to write on the chat to see something that they have in their house that starts with A, with B, with C, and you go with all the vocabulary if you have time. If not, you can break until later, right? Then we also have the team trivia. This is an activity in which you can include questions, you can include, and the questions could be related to the topic that you are teaching. And there are different tools that you can create trivia questions. You can use quizzes. This is kind of a quiz. You can use quizzes to make to have all these questions. I also recommend you Kahoot. That is a great tool that you can use. If not, you can just have the questions in a PowerPoint presentation maybe, and students can write on the chat. Okay, I'm gonna check right now your comments. It is nice to see that you like the icebreakers that I'm presenting. I hope you use them during the virtual meetings. Let's move on. We also have something in common. This is an icebreaker that I really like because there was one time that I was part of an icebreaker like this, and I noticed that there was a boy that was born the same day that me. And this was wow, right? So when you make this kind of connections with a classmate, you are like, I have a new friend. I didn't know something about this, but now I know, and this is so nice. And the students are like getting more familiar with the person, and they're creating a sense of belonging, right? You can also use this something in common in the writing of the chat. You can also use breakout rooms on Zoom. I'm talking about Zoom because I think you all are familiar with that platform, but you can also use Google Meet, or you can use another platform to for these icebreakers, right? We have another icebreaker that is guess who. And in this activity, you can ask your students to send you a private message by the platform that you're using. For example, Zoom has an option where you can choose to whom would you like to send the message. So I can send the message directly to the person, in this case, the teacher, and tell, for example, something, I like coffee. And then the teacher will read, guess who likes coffee? And then the rest of the students should guess who is that person. And you can choose like different topics, right? You can choose, for example, movies. So you will, students will share about what is their favorite movie. They can find another person that likes the same movie than them. You can choose music. You have different topics that you can choose, and guess who? You can also choose people, or you can give the students, for example, the name of an artist, and they can, what they can do is to connect their cameras and say, let's suppose that I'm going to use the example of Shakira. So I can say, I am an artist, I am a singer, and I have participated in many concerts. That is not that much information for you to guess who am I, but I'm just giving examples of how the students can describe who they are, and the rest of the students can participate on the chat, or they can talk to guess who their classmate is, right? But what I recommend you is the teacher to have the names of these artists, of these people. Why? Because some students don't like kind of respect the rules something, and they change the name of the artist just for their classmates to not win the game. Okay, so I just recommend you that, to have like a warm area in which you can use it. I am reading right now that you're writing, students don't participate in an English class because they think it's difficult, the pronunciation. Yeah, this in most of the classes this usually happens, but when you use, I think according to the icebreakers that you use, that you implement in your class, you can correct this from the student, right? It is also important, this is not the topic, but I'm gonna tell you this tip. The way that you correct your students may also make them feel shy, or it may also make them feel like they don't pronounce something correctly, make them feel that they don't want to participate anymore. So, for example, when a student pronounces a word incorrectly, instead of saying your pronunciation is bad, or you don't pronounce that word correctly, you may offer the correct pronunciation in a way that a student notice that she or he was not correct, but you are not telling him or her directly. So, for example, there are some students that tell me, teacher, what time is it? The time right now is. So they notice that I changed time for time. So that's a way in which students can recognize that they made mistakes, but teachers don't tell them directly. That makes them feel bad, and that kind of makes them to do not participate in the class. Another icebreaker that we have is hands right or left. It's like this, right? Right or left. I think you will see in a different way right now because of how I'm presenting. And this is an activity that you can do. Like, for example, if you would like to say yes to something, you put your hands to the right, or if you want to say no, to the left, or correct, incorrect, true, false. This is just an example of the many ways that you can use. And I'm going to show you a video on how a teacher performed this activity. This can also be an icebreaker that you can use in a reading lesson, or in a listening lesson, that every time a student hears something, like for example, the word right, they go to the right, or left, and they go to the left. Okay, I'm gonna play the video right now to show you how this teacher performed this activity.
Point left. If you hear the word right, point right. Here we go. I'd like to tell you a story about Mr. and Mrs. Wright. There's your first cue. This is a self-honor system here. You'll know whether in fact you got it right or responded quickly or not. One evening, they were baking cookies and Mrs. Wright suddenly called out, "Oh no, there's no flour left. You'll need to go right to the store and get it now." "Oh, I can't believe you forgot to check the pantry," grumbled Mr. Wright. "Oh, it'll only take you 20 minutes if you come right back. Go to the corner of 1st and 2nd Streets and turn left at the stop sign. Then go to 43rd Street and turn right, and the shop will be on your left," declared Mrs. Wright as her husband left the house. Ooh, doing pretty well. Mr. Wright found the store and asked the assistant where he could find the flour. The assistant pointed and said, "Go to aisle 4 and turn left. The flour and sugar will be on your left." Mr. Wright made his purchase and walked right out the door. He turned left, but he couldn't remember where he had left his car. Suddenly, he remembered that he had driven Mrs. Wright's car and that his car was in the driveway at home, right where he had left it. He finally found the right car, opened the boot, and put the flour right inside. Eventually, a weary Mr. Wright found his way home. Mrs. Wright had been waiting impatiently. "I thought you would be right back," she said. "I left all the cookie ingredients on the kitchen counter and the cats got into the milk. You'll just have to go right back to the store and do it again." Mr. Wright sighed. He had no energy left. "I'm going right to bed," he said, and left Mrs. Wright standing in the kitchen. End of story. Very good. So for those last 60, 90 seconds, you probably had nothing else going.
As you can see in the video,
Point left, if you hear
this is a nice way to engage your students, to make them feel engaged in the session, to make them pay attention to, right? Because some students are like, you see the student that is in front of the camera, but they are lost in the session. So doing this is a way for you to notice if they are really paying attention. Some of you are writing that these activities can be done also in normal classes. Of course, these ones can be done in face-to-face meetings. Okay, but there are options in this case where you can take students in this virtual way, so you can notice if the students are doing the activity or not. I'm going to show you right now the face-to-face icebreakers that we can also implement, and that we can also use them in virtual meetings. There are some that maybe don't match with the like a virtual platform or something, but there are some of them that can be done in a virtual meeting. The first one that we have is the candy game. When you give your students different candies, and for example, if the cover of the candy is red, you give them a topic to talk about. If the cover is a yellow one or whatever, you give them another topic to talk and discuss. And there is another one. I use the candy game in the classes, in normal classes, in face-to-face classes, to have students, like for example, they have to ask a yes/no question, but the purpose is the students to do not answer yes or no. So for example, if someone asks me, "Did you take a shower today?" I will say, "Of course," instead of yes. If I say yes, the students can take my candy. So I am going to be without candy. And at the end, the student that gets more candies is the one who wins. This is a way that I implement this activity in a face-to-face meeting, okay? An scavenger hunt also is an activity that you can do with your students, in which you can give them different things to take pictures in different places. And this is an activity that you can also do in a virtual meeting. I haven't done it, but I heard that you can use Google Maps to do an scavenging hunt. But I just give you the idea, and you can maybe look on the internet how you can implement the scavenging hunt in Google Maps, and you can do it. We also have the 2 truths and 1 lie activity or icebreaker that we can use in a face-to-face meeting or in a virtual meeting. So what you have to do is to ask your students to write 3 sentences and just one of the sentences is going to be a lie. So students should guess which is the lie. Okay. We also have the paper airplane game. That this is a face-to-face game or icebreaker in which you can challenge your students to maybe to create a paper airplane just with one arm or in groups using just one eye and fly the airplane, right? Another activity is one common thing. This can be done in a face-to-face meeting or in a virtual meeting. And what you have to do is to find a common thing with the rest of the students, right? So students say, for example, my favorite food is pizza. And then another student say the same until they get a common thing. You can also use Pictionary in face-to-face meetings and also in virtual meetings. As you know, I think most of you know, Zoom has a kind of a board in which you can draw and you can let students draw and play Pictionary. And of course, there are more activities that I cannot like tell you because they are a lot. But in this presentation, I have some of the sources where I find some information and in which you can find more activities. Okay. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to share with you a link on Google Drive in which you can download this presentation. Okay. So I'm going to show you right now an icebreaker that was done by a teacher. This is a different one.
Hi guys, I'm Nigel with Elevate, and in this video, I'm going to share with you a really easy way to kick off your event or group gathering. It's called the numbers game, and it's extremely fun to lead. It's perfect for larger groups and works especially well with crowds that have multiples of 10, okay? Please make sure to stay tuned until the very end though, because we'll be giving away a free resource that will help you take your event or group gathering to the next level. All right. Here's how the game goes. So when leading the numbers game, you will already have on you at least 3 full sets of the numbers 0 through 9 printed out. So that's 10 numbers total. And it's best if you print each one out individually on standard size printer paper and then you laminate them. Then you will form 3 groups of 10 people each. And if you only have 20 people, then just 2 teams of 10. Each group of 10 will get their own full set of numbers, and you'll want to make some space in between each team so you can distinguish the groups. Each person will hold a number 0 through 9 so that all 10 numbers are visible for each of the teams. Then the fun begins. As the game host, you will begin to call out any number you want. 10,765, 8,165,729. Just make sure you don't have any duplicate number in anything that you call out. It is best to have a pre-written list on your phone of those numbers so that you can set yourself up for success. Then you will watch to see which team arranges the number you call out first. You can award a point to the team who arranges the number the quickest and continue with the game until one group reaches a total of 5 points. And of course, have a bag of prizes handy for any team that wins. And that's how you play the number game. Now, I mentioned
This is another icebreaker or game. This is called the number game. And this is usually done in a face-to-face icebreaker. I decided to show you this video because maybe you can create a fun way to have your students perform this activity in a virtual meeting, right? You can ask them to write the names on a piece of paper, and the first person that shows the number will win a point, for example. Okay. I also have another video here. This is one of my favorites, but this is done in a face-to-face meeting. It has to be done like that. I don't know if there is a way to do it in a virtual session, but you can try.
That's on video.
Okay. All right. So let's have Matthew then start.
Go, Matt.
show you kind of the end of the video for you to see which was the phrase.
Really?
Okay, so what do you think it is? Okay. And let me get a picture of what the word was, or the sentence was.
This was I rode the bike and fell. This is the name of this activity is miscommunication. When you get lost, when you are communicating something and the message gets lost, and you say a completely different thing. So you can use this icebreaker in face-to-face meetings. As I told you before, I don't know if there is a way to do it by a virtual session, but that would be interesting to try to look for, right? Some of you are asking on the chat if there is a YouTube channel in which I find these videos. I have the link of the videos in the slide of the presentation. So at the end of the presentation, as I told you before, I'm going to share with you the Google Drive link in which you can download this presentation for you to go to the videos, okay? So let's move on to the next. And in my experience and advice, I will recommend you, I will encourage to use icebreakers in your classes. They can help you to break the ice, and they can help you also during your lessons. You can apply icebreakers as we were watching in this session at the beginning of a class, at the beginning of an activity with a new topic. You can use it in many different ways, right? And right now I'm gonna provide you some minutes for you to ask questions. I am so happy to read that you are happy to know these icebreakers and that you are going to use it in your future meetings. And I will wait for your questions.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation here with us, Heylin. We loved very much your activity. So I have one question here from Dulce Orellana. It says breakers and attention grabbers are different things or are the same?
Yeah, attention grabbers are a different things that are icebreakers. When you use attention grabber, is to call attention at the moment. And for example, an attention grabber that I usually use is pa pararapa, and then my student answer papa. So this is a way where you can, and instead of saying, "Hey guys, pay attention," "Hey guys," and then telling them several times, you just can use an attention grabber to call the attention quickly. But that's a phrase that you do, an action that you do to call the attention.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer. And then I have a comment here from Ana Gonzalez. She says, I love the ideas that you are sharing to us. I can wait to put them in practice with my students. Ana Gonzalez, believe me, I loved them too. Thank you so much, Heylin. I think we don't have more questions.
Thanks for your comment, guys. I'm really happy because you like the presentation. And I just have a final presentation in here that it says, this is a phrase that I would like to share with all of you in this moment. Technology is just a tool in terms of getting the kids to work together and motivating them. But the teacher is the most important, okay? So you have to make your students feel engaged. Remember that you are the most important in the classroom. Of course, students, but talking about technology and teacher, the teacher is the most important in the class. Thank you for joining my session, and I hope you like.
Thank you so much for all the time that you shared with us. Now I'm going to give you the information about the attendance. Right now I'm going to share with you the link that you can fill in out in order to have your attendance. So there you go. Uh, right now for the attendance is going to be available just for 10 minutes. So I suggest you to fill in it right away, okay? So this has been all for this conference. So we invite you to join us for the next ones during the week and also the ones starting at 5 p.m. today. The one we have is PLN and PLE of 21st century language learner with Magister Betsabe Orenos. In these channels and classroom management in time of adversity, a technological approach with Pem Marcel Taylor on our second channel, Idiomas USAC. Have a wonderful afternoon and thank you so much for your time, Heylin. See you then.
You are welcome.
Thank you.